everyone, and welcome to the month of March. And this challenge for TinkerCAD is going to be making a personal locking container. So you see, this is a very interesting container. It does have a twist, piece that's going to allow it to lock into the other one. And then also there are little holes, I'm trying to hold it up so you can see, where these are going to intersect so that you can use like a little tiny lock to actually lock everything up. So I'm lining up roughly where those holes are now. I'm going to push it in and twist, and you can kind of see how it works. There we go. So it's not lined up perfectly, but in the video, I think I showed you the right, more correct way that is going to help you line them up. You see, this is a very decent sized container. In the tutorial that they gave me and that we're following together, they do say it's a good idea to lock up like money, jewelry. You can actually lock it into this container and add a little lock, and then it's like you can't pull it open. So it's a really good locking container, even just for like twisting. So you must have to twist it to open it. But even once you do that, I don't think you can make it past this far. Unfortunately, I can't show you with a lock, but that's okay. I think you'll have fun making this. It's a very interesting design. And here it gives you enough space to store some small objects, nothing too big. You can definitely fold money. In the beginning video, I had like a little flash drive I fit in here, an eraser. So I fit some random stuff in here, and I have more than enough space. Got a button that it all fit perfectly in there. So as long as it's below this line, it will fit. Whoops. So this video is going to be a little bit different. It involves working through a learning project that TinkerCAD offers. So in the video, I did have to alter some of it. So if you wanted to just follow along the learning tutorial, you're welcome to do so. But I did have to change some of the things. So I'm just giving you a heads up on that, but you can try following the tutorial. And if you are new at TinkerCAD, do check out the other tutorials on there. The Learning Center of TinkerCAD is very informative and it's very fun. And you can make a lot of unique things just by following along on what they say in those tutorials. And then they also give you a very easy visual guide as well as a written guide to help you out. If you want to see where to find this tutorial and how to make it, check out TinkerCAD in the Learning Center. I also posted a link to it where it says activities. You can click there. And below, this is where the TinkerCAD class code is going to be. So join the TinkerClass code just to see the link to that. But once again, you can find it in the Learning Center. Just look for personal locking container and you'll find the tutorial to do that. If you need any assistance, please contact studio at newlandslibrary.org. We can schedule a one-on-one appointment if you want to sit down and learn it together, or if you wanted to watch your print in the make, or if you had any questions about colors, sizing, do contact us and we can get back to you as soon as possible. If you're interested in trying a different TinkerCAD tutorial and you want to get that free print of that for this month, you're welcome to do so. So check out the YouTube channel and you'll see a bunch of TinkerCAD tutorials you may try. And once you're done with your TinkerCAD project, contact studio@newlandslibrary.org and then let us know what color of filament you want us to print it out as. Unfortunately, at this time, we only could do one color per project. However, because this one's in two pieces, you might be able to do, so the lid could be one color and then the base could be another color. Okay, let us know in the email if that's what you want to do, and just let us know what color. So this is the white color. I just chose something that we already had in the printer, and with white you can always paint it too. So anyway, that's all the news I have for you. Enjoy tinkering and making this personal locking container or anything other of the any of the other TinkerCAD projects for the month and get your free print. And once again, if you have any questions or need help with anything, contact studio@newlandslibrary.org and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you. Have fun tinkering. Hi TinkerCAD challengers. This month is going to be a little bit different as I am going to navigate a lesson plan that is one of the options that TinkerCAD has. I've done this before with the balloon car last year, and this year I wanted to utilize it again so you kind of know little extra resources that TinkerCAD has to offer. Now this is my main page, and I'm going to show you how to access the Learning Center. The Learning Center will give you great tutorials on how to work TinkerCAD, and I highly suggest you try this out first. If you're brand new, you get to learn different things in TinkerCAD that's going to help you in the future. For example, all of these lesson plans are the first basics that will help you navigate TinkerCAD from the very start, right after you create your account. Okay, so these are some of the easier lesson plans, and some of them are really quite fun. So you can make a whole set of your own buttons. You can make a keychain, glasses. So there's some fun stuff on here. And this month we're going to be using one of these as build a personal locking container. So I chose this one because I thought it would be a unique build, and also it does create a different kind of challenge, because this is about learning how to twist an object into another object. So with that being said, the way you can access this, you can access it through here, or if you go back to your main TinkerCAD page, so I'm clicking on this logo at the top left, and I have classes, TinkerCAD challenge. In this section here, this is what I could see. You can't see anyone else, but I just want to show you from my standpoint how I'm able to assign something to you. So I did assign that. So I'm going to go in activities up here, and it should be in here, build a locking container. If you do not want to sign up for the TinkerCAD challenge, you don't have to. You can always go back, and I showed you the last one, go to Learning Center when you click on resources at the top, and you can click on Learning Center there to access the build a locking container. Just be on the lookout for this challenge. So this is what building a locking container looks like from this page. So I'm going to click on Start Tutorial. I'm going to Learning Center. So we're going to go Learning Center, and we're going to go to View All. And through the Learning Center, you're going to find Build a Personal Locking Container. Now, I already add to class activity, so if you wanted to do that, you can go in the class activity section and find it. But here, it has 3 tutorials. I'm just going to do the first 2. The third one involves adding text, and you're welcome to do that if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that for mine because I just want to make sure I show you the basics of how to make the container. So I'm going to click on this. So this shows me what I have made and how I finished the tutorial. If I were to go back to the beginning, it will look like this. So build a personal locking tutorial. So I'm going to start following along with the directions. And the first instruction is to place a cylinder on the work plane, make it 80 by 80 by 3. So I'm clicking on this. I'm changing this to 80. See, it stretched out one side. I'm going to zoom in on this piece so I can see a little bit better. The way I'm doing this, I'm clicking on the white corners so I can open up these 2 menus to give me the width and length. And I'm clicking in the menus to change the size. Now I'm going to click on the white square that's kind of like in the middle, floating above everything else. It's kind of hard to tell here. But if I were to turn the camera, you can see that it goes all the way to the top in the middle. That adjusts the height. So I'm going to click on that and type in 3, hit enter. So I'm done with this portion. I'm going to continue to the next step. Okay, add the locking tab. So this will go over all the things you need to know about the locking tab. I also want to point out, when you click on the picture, it actually zooms in so you can get a better understanding of how the page is supposed to look like. Okay? So I'm in the process. I'm going to make this gray tab piece right here. So it says expand the shape generators panel on the browser on the right. So where it says basic shapes, I'm going to click down at the bottom to shape generators, click that. And I'm actually going to search for this. So I'm going to search shapes with that magnifying glass. And we're looking for the extrusion shape. So I'm typing in extrusion. And it's right here. It shows a gray cylinder. So this is what I'm looking for, as it says extrusion. And it looks like a gray cylinder. I'm putting it down right there. I'm going to close this out. It says use the inspector window. So I'm going to move this over so I can see what it's doing from here a little better. So this is the inspector window. And reduce the height of extrusion to 3 millimeters tall. And I'm going to open up the image again. So it kind of looks like a D shape, but with that one edge pulled in a little more. So I'm going to follow that a little bit. So as you see, as I'm moving it, it's actually adjusting it. And the way you can round it out or pull it back a little more, these little like the little arms that are off the squares, these allow you, if you click and pull, it actually expands them, or if you put them closer, it retracts, so it's more pointy or more rounded. I'm gonna leave mine like that. I think that's good. It looks pretty similar to the picture. Now it says reduce the height. I already did that. Now move boomerang shape to make it intersect with the lid shape. And the way I could tell it's intersecting because the corner of the shape is in the orange, so that's how I know that it's intersecting. And I can kind of see the colors are merging together. Now I'm going to continue to the next step. So it says make some threads. Now here's the part where I did have to change this a little bit because TinkerCAD no longer has this shape. It's called something else. But I'm going to search the shape and type in twisted. I'm talking about the twisted polygon shape. So it has twisted polygon, but it doesn't have twisted polygon 4. So my guess is they probably got rid of that shape because this one serves as the same purpose. Okay, so I'm pulling out the twisted polygon shape. It's blue. It's not yellow like it shows you in the picture. This one's blue. It says drag a twisted polygon shape from the community panel, which was here, and place on the work plane and increase the height from the default 20 to 23. So I'm clicking on the height, say 20, and I'm changing that to 23. It doesn't look like it changed much, and now I'm going to continue to the next step. Okay, so align the threads to the lid. So hold down, it says hold down shift key. So I'm holding down shift key on the keyboard and click twisted polygon and then select the lid at the same time. I'm going to hide these other shapes because we don't need to look at these. It'll be a little easier to follow along. So I'm clicking on the twisted polygon, holding, and now I'm clicking on the lid. So it says we do not want to select the boomerang shape, so I'm leaving it alone. Clicking them both at the same time. So I'm clicking on the twisted polygon and the lid. I'm going to the alignment tool. Now I'm going to click on these black dots to figure out how to get this centered. I'm going to click on this one. So I'm centering it from the back. I'm going to see if I could, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to click on, I selected the twisted polygon and click on the center here. So now the orange one is centering through there, and now I have to move the tab over. I'm just going to use my arrow keys for that. So it's back where it started from. Kind of looks like a duck faced a little bit. It's pretty cool. Okay, so it is centered, and now I'm going to continue. It says configure the threads. So here I'm going to click on the twisted polygon and follow the values that they have. Number points, they say 8. So I'm changing this. I'm clicking on the numbers, and now I can type in a specific number. And when I do that, it will change as we go along. Radius is 35, so I type that in. So this is going to increase the sides. Height is going to be 20, so that's the same. The bottom twist says 10, and I'm going to see if that will work. And the top twist is -10. So here's where it looks different from the picture. I'm going to click on the picture and show you that it's supposed to look like this. It's not as twisted as it should look like. So we're going to keep the bottom twist as 10 and the top twist as 45 or -45 because I think this will look closer to what the yellow piece is, and I think that would serve as a better locking device. So now that that's done, so here's another example too where it is a little different. I don't know if back when they first started doing lessons that they kind of, when you hit done, it'll move to next set and then you don't have to worry about saving anything. what we're going to do here, we're going to select each one separately. We're going to save our shapes so that we can use them for the next step. So in Shapes Library, click on Your Creations, and you'll see some of the previous stuff I've done that I've saved. I'm going to delete some of the stuff I did earlier with it. So this way I won't get confused. But I do want to add each one of these to the shape of my creations. So I have the boomerang tab piece selected. I'm going to hit Create Shape. I'm going to call it the tab. I'm going to save it. I have the twisted polygon now selected. I'm going to create that shape and type, I'll do polygon. Okay, and now I'm going to select the lid or the top piece, create shape, and I'm going to just call this lid. Save it. So now all three of these I can access for the next part of it, which we're going to create the body. So now I'm going to hit done, and where it says make the body with a locking tab, we're going to click continue. Now once again, because I already practiced with this, I'm going to hide these, and it's going to look like your work plane. So I'm going to actually click on that, and this is how yours should work. So this is how it's going to look. I'm going to go to page 2, and it says model your locking container lid. So now to build a container, we should start from scratch and build each component. And we're going to reuse the shapes that we already make to make the inside of the grooves, because that's how it's going to fit correctly. So with your creations, where it said basic shapes, I clicked on your creations. I'm going to drag out the lid. Now when I do that, I'm going to make sure it's still selected, click duplicate, and I'm going to use this lid as my base for the body. So this is my spare lid. In the meantime, I'm also going to drag out the other components too, just to have those ready. So now they're all right here, ready to go. Kind of put them all together too. I'm not going to group them just yet, but I'm going to leave them like this. So it says increase the height to 50. Okay. Duplicate the shape and move it to the side, and it changes dimensions to 65, 65, and 65. Just moving that. This is my duplicate, so this would be 65, 65, 65. Okay, so that's all set. I have these two shapes. You should have those two shapes too. Now I'm going to click Next. The inner taller cylinder will be used to cut a hole. So now I'm going to hold Shift, click on two cylinders and select them both, and we're going to do the alignment tool again. Okay, now I want to make sure that I'm trying to see if I can try to move this over. Maybe it will help if I have a top view. And I'm going to focus strictly on these two. There we go. So I had to click on pretty much the two middle pieces and align them together. Oh, now it says click on the taller cylinder and raise it up by 3. So I am on the front view. This is going to help a little bit. So do you see when I click on the arrow up caret, I get the option to type in 3, or you can move it by yourself. So I'm moving it up to 3. So you saw it went from 0 to 3, and then even down here it shows 3. Click on the next step. It says click on the inner taller cylinder, so select it, and then click on hole. Now I'm going to select them. Now I'm holding Shift and selecting the base and hitting this group key up here. So now it should have cut a hole in it, so it does look like a little container right now. Click Next. So now we have to, let's say, drag a work plane on top of the container. So work plane tools right here. So I'm dragging the work plane on top right here. And click on the spare set of threads. So I'm going to duplicate this. And I'm typing D. And I have to change the radius to 36. So unfortunately, I can't change the thread shape once it's been saved. But if I change the radius, so I know 36 times 2 is 72. So these are 70. So I'm going to change this to 72 and this to 72. So the idea is if these are 72, the lid should fit inside here, because you do want to have the lid, I think it says up here, like the top has to be a little bit smaller than the bottom so it can actually fit. If you have them both the same size, they just kind of like click together. They can't even go into each other. So that's why you have to have a different size for those. Okay, dismiss the work plane by dragging the work plane to the empty space. All right. So continue to the next step. So now we're going to cut the threads into the base. I'm just going to hide this section for now, and we'll go back to that. I want to focus this on this so we can all be so everything will look cohesive and we're not looking at anything else. So it says drag the new threads roughly over the container body. Select the cylinder and threads and use the line tool to align the shapes vertically. So I'm clicking on this. I also want to make sure on top I have the thread still selected. I noticed that it's not perfectly centered, so I do want to make sure that these are centered. Oh, and I have to make sure this goes. Okay, use the black handle above the threads and move them down 20 millimeters. I think because I have this orange thing floating, I'm going to actually move this down. Should I hit D? Drop them a little bit. Now I'm going to hit this and I will move it down 20. So when I clicked on the threads, it came up as 50, so I'm going to move it to 20. I feel like that's too far down, so I might have to change this and actually move it up. Type in 35, and I think that will be a better size. Now I'm going to click on Hole. And now I have them both selected. I made a little red box around both of them, and you see shapes up here, both of them are selected too. Okay, so it looks relatively like the picture. So just remember when I changed the threads, I only moved them down to 35. It still doesn't quite look even though, so I'm going to go in and make sure this is symmetrical as possible. I try to align it, but I think it's a little bit more on this left side, so I'm going to select them both and see if I can line them again. There we go. So I had to click on this bottom black circle, and the dots seem to help align everything. So now I have them both selected. I'm going to group them. Perfect. So your container should look something like this, and it should be ready for the next step. So I'm going to click Next. So putting the locking tab on the container. Now, because I did hide the lid, I'm going to click the little Show All. Okay, so now we're going to create the tab for this. So we're going to grab another work plane and set it on top of the body of the container. And now we're going to grab that tab and put it right there. Hit D, and it should drop it. I think I already have mine at the bottom. So now it says we should move it down 3 millimeters. And there we go. So I'm going to zoom in so you can see a little better. It definitely looks like it has set in there. So it's all set to go. I'm going to match from where this tab is to where this one is. I'm just going to rotate this. So I clicked on the container and I'm holding rotate, but I'm going to hold rotate. Just rotate it right about here. So what I'm thinking is it should connect. This corner and this corner should be connected. I'm going to look in the pictures to see if that's the same over here. It does look like it. So this tab and this tab are in the spaces, which is the same over here. They're in the spaces. So because mine's at the end, I'm going to keep it at the end and it should lock together. Okay, now I'm going to drag a work plane off into the distance and continue to the next lesson. Grouping and orienting. So drag a box around the lid you create at the beginning and click Group. So I clicked, I'm dragging a little red box and I'm clicking Group. You don't have to drag it over the whole thing as long as all three of the shapes are selected. And I'm going to just change them one color just so I can be sure that they are all grouped. I'm actually changing it to the same color as this one. And now I'm dragging the box over the tab and the container and clicking group. And I'm going to change the color to purple. Okay, so almost done. Next lesson, aligning the lid. So now we have to create a hole over both these tabs to make sure that they can actually be locked. So it says click on the container and rotate so the tab is laying down on the ground 180 degrees. Clicking and rotating it. And shift, click on lid and click align. So I aligned them both right here. So it does look like they are slightly off, but if we create a hole big enough, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Yeah, as long as we create a hole that's big enough to fit both of these, it should be fine. So now we're going to line the centers of both the objects. So I'm going to just pull out the tab I made before, and I'm just going to, so now I'm going to change this to be smaller. So it's 21 by 20. I'm going to change it to 13 by 13. And I'm also going to increase the height. I'm just pulling it up just to make it really tall. As long as the height is taller than 3 millimeters, you should be able to make a hole in your tabs. Now I'm just going to push this through both of them, and I'm going to click duplicate. So I'm going to select one, hold shift and select the container, hit group. Okay, I'm going to move this off. This over a little bit. Click on the other hole, hold shift and select the lid and then group them. Okay, so now I have both the container and the lid, and they should be ready to go. I'm going to continue to the next lesson. So I already speed through and did this part, so I'm just going to click next lesson for this. And overall, this is what you should be done with. I didn't have to do anything else. If you want to continue and add more personal touches, you can. Now, because these are two separate pieces, you are welcome to have two separate colors. We can only print one piece in one color. That's the limitations our 3D printers have. So say if you did want the body in purple and the top in green, we can do that, but we can't do half and half of both pieces, okay? I hope you enjoy tinkering and check out the other lessons that I have. And also make sure before you are done, change your file name to, I'm doing my initials and typing in container. And you know what? I'm also going to type in white so that I know what color to print them out as. Just for my organization, that's just going to make it easier for me. You don't have to necessarily do that as long as you email us at studio@newlinuxlibrary.org and let us know what color you want us to print it out as. It will take about 4 hours, so keep that in mind. But I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and enjoy tinkering, and enjoy your new locking container. Thanks. Bye.